Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to talk briefly about this article that was written in the New Republic. It's called "We Might Have Long COVID All Wrong." I'm going to make this video brief because I don't want you guys reading this article. It's a stupid article. It's just a waste of time. But the reason I'm addressing it is because I'm going to have a couple of other videos that refer back to this article. So just so that you guys have a background on what I'm talking about in those other videos. Now, there are some people out there, I know that there's a website called limescience.org. And then this person too, I forgot what her name was. It was a woman that wrote this article. And these people are basically, this is what I called outrage journalism. They write something knowing that they're going to get a huge negative reaction, but it's going to get attention. It's almost like what some people refer to on Twitter as shit posting, but it's writing an entire article, making it look journalistic and legitimate when there really is no legitimacy to it. So basically, this article is trying to say that long COVID could be a functional neurologic disorder. This writer is basically saying like, oh, it's a functional neurologic disorder, which again, to summarize it, it's all in your head. It's your brain is misfiring and it's making you have all of these symptoms. She's telling you like, no, even though if it's a functional disorder, it should still be taken seriously. So she's almost trying to come across as sympathetic to people with this functional disorder, but she also does not acknowledge all of the research out there that is showing that long COVID is an actual physical illness. She also goes through the whole history of hysteria, which was, from way back in the day. The majority of people that were diagnosed with hysteria were women. So you can already, once you read this article, you can already tell where she's going with it. I forgot her name. I really, to be honest, I don't, her name is absolutely pointless because she's an awful person. But the fact that she addresses the history of hysteria first in this article and then goes on to talk about long COVID, it tells you all you need to know about how she feels about this. They talk about how the patients that had the most severe, symptoms with long COVID were the ones that were always dwelling on it or the ones that were always overwhelmed by it. Essentially, they were making their own illness worse. So again, all of these stereotypes about chronic illness, it's all in your head. Just stop thinking about it. You're making yourself sick. She goes through the whole list. I mean, this person is she really knew, how to kind of pick at the wound, so to speak. So that's basically, the gist of her article. Not just, she doesn't just, take on long COVID. She takes on Lyme disease. She takes on IBS as well, which we know that IBS is linked to severe food poisoning. So basically just kind of going down the list of all of this stuff is, they're functional disorders and people, they should be taken seriously, but they should be given a treatment that is for a functional neurological disorder. So she also mentions Fiona Lowenstein, which is the author of a book that I have reviewed on this channel, and Akiko, where is she? I always forget her name. She's a Yale researcher and professor, Akiko Iwasaki, who has actually done research, who actually talks about the research that has been being done in long COVID. And this woman, she's not a doctor. She's just, like I said, she's an outrage journalist. She has the nerve to mention this woman's name, a doctor, who actually has, there's documented research. She talks about the documented research and the physical findings of people with long COVID. And this woman has the nerve to throw her name in here and Fiona Lowenstein and throw them into all of this. while she's saying that long COVID is a functional neurological disorder. Um, so she completely leaves out a lot of the research that has come out showing that people with long COVID are showing certain issues like in their blood or mitochondrial stuff. I will do another video about a video on YouTube that talks about research findings. So don't listen to me. I'm not a doctor. I can't cite all of the research findings. Akiko Iwasaki, if you want to know more about long COVID, post-viral illness, things like that, just Google Akiko Iwasaki. Iwasaki's name. She's a doctor from Yale. She's at the forefront of all of this. I can't imagine the audacity of this writer, the writer of this article, to literally try to debunk a Yale researcher, a Yale physician's, credibility. Like, who are you, right? And so that brings the question, not just from this writer, but also websites like limescience.org, which just, all of the stuff that is on that website is just, every treatment for Lyme disease is garbage. Chronic Lyme disease doesn't exist. I don't understand who these people are and what their problem is. We have a right to do whatever we want with our bodies, whether it's a functional disorder or whether it's a physical condition. Why do you care? Why do you feel the need to go out there and say, oh, no, these people are, they're not really sick, right? They're crazy or they have mental health issues. I don't know who these people are, but they seem like they have some kind of like vendetta against those of us who have chronic ongoing health issues. They're probably healthy people, by the way, because it takes only, it's always a healthy person, that has to be criticizing people with chronic conditions. But I don't know what they get out of this. Obviously, they get, this person who writes for the New Republic, she gets exposure, right? She's getting exposure for her writing. I saw her post on Twitter. I mean, she had so many people commenting in her, under her post, most of them outraged and upset, and a lot of them providing links to actual research that has been finding things in people with long COVID. And she ignored all of that, of course, because she doesn't care about the facts or the research. She cares about the outrage and the attention. And that's basically what these people need, which is why I hesitated in making this video, because the only thing I'm doing is drawing attention to someone that doesn't need it. I'm glad I forgot her name because you guys don't need to know her name. But anyways, this is the article. It's in the New Republic. It's called "We Might Have Long COVID All Wrong." You're going to hear me mention this article in a couple of other videos. I just wanted to make this video so you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't recommend reading it. It's a waste of time. And it is very upsetting. It's very upsetting for those of us who have struggled with chronic conditions, who have tried a lot of different therapies, and we're still struggling. And it's very, very sad because a lot of people are dying as well from all of these ongoing, not just long COVID, but, chronic Lyme disease, ME/CFS, multiple sclerosis, things like that. And it is just an absolute insult that people can still be writing articles like this, especially in the midst of, of the aftermath of this horrible pandemic. I mean, the only reasoning I can see behind writing something like this is to get people angry and to get attention, to the author of this thing. So anyways, don't read it, but just know this is what I'm referring to in some of my other videos. I'm going to write a video on the long COVID survival guide, which was in response, I believe it was in response to this article or partially in response to this article. And I will let you know about a YouTube video also in response to this article that has some really good information about long COVID and other post-viral, post-infectious illness. So thank you so much for joining me. Don't read this article, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.